Welcome, everybody. Another player interview. Today we have the goldenest of Novas here with us. And we're going to ask him the same questions that we did Woodland Docks. But before that, how are you feeling? How are you feeling going into this tournament?
I'm feeling pretty well. I've diversified my stock portfolios. I've done my market research, and I know that there's only one corporation that's going to be standing at the end of this particular tournament.
All right. And we'll get into what corporation that is later on. But just a little background of, how you found Vanguard. So where did you first hear about Vanguard and what drew you to it?
Vanguard is something that's been in the background for as long as I've been playing other card games. Whenever you go to a card shop, they have different posters, and you would see the people playing Vanguard every once in a while. But I hadn't really gotten into it until you decided to post up some information on how to learn it. And then once we started getting that ball rolling, I started getting my knuckles into how everything works and started breaking down the code of the rule book and getting it to fit with everything that I knew about card games beforehand. And now it's a very interesting puzzle now. I'm in that stage where I haven't figured out the card game, and that's what makes it even more fascinating right now, because there's things to learn and get a handle on. I love it. It's the honeymoon phase of Vanguard.
Yeah. Honeymoon phase of any card game is great until you find out, the deck that you pumped $50-$60 into isn't in the meta. But anyway.
Rip Cloudian.
Anyway, speaking of meta, there is no real set meta for this tournament because everybody sort of is at that introductory level. But what clan are you bringing into?
I am repping the absolute, unimpeachable power of the Oracle think tank. We have our delicious sweets division raking in some wonderful dividends down at the lower levels, but we here at Amaterasu Incorporated know what it means to invest in our future. And I look forward to drawing double critical triggers every time I attack with my Vanguard in every game.
Sounds real good. And what drew you to that clan in particular?
So I was watching the anime the first time going through, and the idea of having ramping value off of your rank 3s. I saw the Imperial Daughter combo go off a few times, and the fact that you have a boss monster that can by itself gain double critical without having to worry about getting critical triggers, but then you can just stack the deck to gain even more when you want to, is really great. I'm learning the ins and outs of it. I generally don't play slower control builds, but I'm learning to figure out to, instead of rush style, getting rid of my opponent's resources first, and then doing my big critical rushes once they have no more cards in their hand, because they spent all of them trying to protect their pathetic mom and pop shops.
It's a
cute you think those rear. It's so cute you think those rear guards are going to have customer retention.
All right. And so we have the clan out of the way. So how has practice been? Because I know that you've had a couple of practice matches, despite your very busy schedule as, a streamer and a YouTuber content creator.
One of the things that I didn't expect going into learning Vanguard was how it always... How do I put this correctly? So I've heard this saying in other card games where you have to identify if you're on the beatdown or if you're playing control. You have to figure out if you're in a position where you can be as offensive as possible, or if you're in a position where you have to stall at your opponent. I'm sure that that's the case in Vanguard as well to a certain extent, but it feels like the line is much thinner than in anything else. The fact you always have to make sure you keep your zero grades, or all the ones that have the shield in your hand, available at times, and you don't just discard them for other value things. And you have to make sure that you have the right combination of them ready whenever someone decides to make their own big push. Has been a hurdle that I'm still working to get over. But every game that I play is helping me to get that ingrained in my brain a bit more, to not just, I'll just play all of my grade zeros in the back. It's still a boost, right? It's fine. It's fine.
Okay, and what are some of the biggest differences you've found during practice? Like differences between Vanguard, Yu-Gi-Oh, and or maybe another card game you've played.
The differences is so there are some things in Yu-Gi-Oh, which is my primary game, where you gain certain advantages based on how much lower life points you have than your opponent.
Mm-hmm.
So if you take damage, you're in a position to use certain effects.
Mm-hmm.
But that is very, very rare, and those kinds of things are almost never in the higher tier of competition. Because you never want to be in a position where you're losing, that you're that close to just losing the game outright.
Mm-hmm.
Vanguard is different insofar as you want your opponent to punch you a few times because that's a resource. I don't see that in Yu-Gi-Oh very often. That doesn't come up at all in Keyforge. I don't think Pokemon cares about that at all. So Vanguard has a very interesting approach to how to comeback mechanics like that, and I think it's very interesting.
All right. And right now, who are you the most nervous to face off against? Because I know you've played against a couple of the other participants, but you haven't played against the entire player pool yet.
Yeah. I need you to not share this with anyone. This definitely can't go public. You can't show this to anyone. But I was testing with Porcelain earlier with Bermuda Triangle, and there's a Pacifica, and I was like, every line I was reading that, it's like, oh, okay, so if you have one Pacifica, okay, +1 drive on a grade 3, so 3, that's. Wait, you're doing what with 4? You're just getting rid of all my. What is going on here? That's so scary. And like every card they were pulling off the top was like, oh, search for a Pacifica and play it. Search for a Pacifica and play it. Like, and that was the game that we played where they didn't draw very well. I'm very scared running into Bermuda Triangle again and having a full Pacifica setup going on. I'm like, no, I don't. There are not enough Sentinels in the game to resist that kind of weirdness. So I'm like,
I feel you. I did a mirror match practice game with Porcelain, and the same thing happened to me. And Porcelain had 4 Pacificas on field. I only had 3, and I never triggered. So I know how it feels. It's a slow burn, and it hurts so much. And last but not least, what are you looking forward to the most out of this tournament?
Well, I'm looking forward mostly to dropping the facade a little bit. I mentioned earlier about like honeymoon phases about stuff, and it's very, but I don't want to be what's the word I'm thinking of? I don't want to be frivolous about it. It is cool to have a new experience with a new game that everyone's just kind of learning, and those kind of moments where you're looking at a card and you're going, "Oh my God, are you kidding me? That's so cool!" These great, wonderful discoveries of interactions with people that you are friends with and you're having a fun game with. I am really looking forward to having a lot of those moments with other players and maybe showing them some cool things at Oracle Think Tank.
All right. As an Oracle Think Tank stan myself, I feel that very much. Anyway, guys, that is every question that I have for Mr. GoldenNova today. If you want to see more of him, make sure that you go and subscribe to his channel. He does a lot of great explain videos and live streams every Friday, and of course he'll be on this channel on a couple of different series, so make sure that you check that out. And yeah, don't forget to support him when he plays. Don't know who his opponent is yet, but we'll find out in a couple of days. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this player interview. We'll see you next time.